Thank you so much, Ladi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Global News part of Business Morning. And of course, going global, we start from what's going on in the United Kingdom. Consumer confidence has hit its highest level in almost 2 years in July. This is according to research that indicates that closing stages of the Men's Football World Cup and more people holidaying in the UK, those have lifted summer spending. A truce in the Middle East conflict in June and the arrival of a new prime minister also gave a lift to consumers after a long period of heightened uncertainty. A long-running monthly consumer spending survey by Barclays showed that 30% of those surveyed felt confident about the strength of the UK economy in July, and this represents a 21-month high and a 6 percentage point improvement compared to what they had in June. Consumer card spending grew also by 2% year on year last month after 1.9% increase in June, and all of this is captured in the report by Barclays. And oil prices have risen slightly this morning to the highest level in more than a week as hopes recede on a deal between the US and Iran. That's to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz after President Donald Trump demanded compensation for damage incurred by the United States. The Brent features and US crude features, those we saw, they both increased, and I'm sure you saw that earlier today after the US president responded to Iran's demands for compensation and an end to transactions and military threats before it will restart talks with the US. Those conditions largely reflect the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding signed by both sides in June, which has since broken down. And Iran has been negotiating with Oman about how to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping passage, defining new shipping lanes, and got closer to a pact. The strait has been effectively closed for months after the US and Israel started attacking Tehran. And still President Trump there, his social media company, they've reported a loss of $238 million between April and June as it branched into ventures unrelated to media, including cryptocurrencies. Well, the quarterly loss is more than 10 times the amount reported during the same period a year earlier, according to Trump Media and Technology Group, which owns the president's Truth Social platform. The firm says that it will refocus on its social media mission, which includes a controversial service that offers faster access to market-moving posts from the platform's most influential users. The company says more than 10 customers have signed up for it, paying between $60,000 and $100,000 a month. In July, it announced a plan to give Wall Street traders faster access to posts on Truth Social, where President Trump frequently makes announcements. It's been viewed as a way to give subscribers an edge in trading stocks and other heavily traded assets. The new service, called Truth API, is expected to provide the company with a new revenue stream, and Trump Media says its earnings statement will be set on Monday. And U.S. investment giants, including Apollo Global Management Incorporated, Blackstone Incorporated, BlackRock Incorporated, and Brookfield Asset Management, they're partnering Nvidia Corporation to source $500 billion in financing for artificial intelligence infrastructure. The coalition, which also includes Goldman Sachs Group and KKR and Co., will create dedicated pools of capital at significant scale at attractive rates for Nvidia customers. This is according to a statement by Nvidia Chief Executive Officer Jensen Huang. He said this during an interview, and he said he approached only 6 firms for the commitment and none turned him down. Retail investors sold SpaceX stock on a net basis for the first time since the company's June initial public offering. This is according to research data. Individual traders offloaded a net of $4.5 million worth of shares in Elon Musk's rocket company on August, and the figure marks the first negative reading since SpaceX went public on June 12. The selling remains small compared to the stock's previous trading activity, and the largest single-day net purchase by retail investors reached 144.6 million. That happened on June 16, and this reversal follows a brief return to buying just 2 days earlier. August 5, retail investors purchased shares as the stock fell 13.6%, recording the fourth highest net buying day since the IPO. The August 5 decline comes after SpaceX released its first quarterly earnings report as a public company, and the reports highlighted faster returns from artificial intelligence spending, though questions persist about the duration of support from its profitable Starlink business for AI investment. And Anthropic has signed a $9.1 billion long-term agreement with Riot Platforms to secure AI computing capacity. This highlights the AI developers' aggressive push to lock in infrastructure as demand for its cloud tools continue to grow. Riot shares jumped 25% to $24.40 late yesterday after the company disclosed the data center agreement earlier that day without naming its customer. And the reports indicate that Anthropic is the customer behind Riot's previously undisclosed data center agreement, citing people who are in the market. The agreement covers 191 megawatts of computing capacity at Riot's Rockdale, Texas campus and runs through June 2048. Riot expects the contract to generate $9.1 billion in revenue, while 2 5-year extension options could take total sales to as much as $16.1 billion. Away from the US and the markets now, Australia, they've left their interest rate steady as expected amid recent cooling inflation numbers. And this follows a softer than expected print for the second quarter right there in Australia. And the RBA left this benchmark unchanged at 4.35%. It was a unanimous decision. The RBA raised interest rate by a cumulative of 75 basis points so far this year. The Philippine government, they are planning to borrow 3.3 trillion pesos next year, and that's up by a fifth as it seeks to revitalize an economy that's rocked by conflict in the Middle East and a corruption scandal. The proposed debt, mostly to be raised domestically, would account for 46% of next year's national budget, which is about 7.2 trillion pesos. This is according to data from the Department of Budget and Management. It would be 20% higher than this year's revised borrowing plan of 2.73 trillion pesos. Well, those are the global stories for now. Back to you, Laddie.